What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show. As always, I like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. I am the host of Epic Conversations, and this is the host of Epic Conversations. Have another friend on tonight, but before we get there, I'd like to say I am the recipient of the 2018 Innovation Award given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I'd like to say hello to people who are already on the conversation. Hello, Sonia. Hello, Durham Skywriter. Thank you so much for stopping by. And let's get to the main man tonight. My main man is Alexander Williams. He has been a long-time friend of the Dr. Vibe Show and always provides epic conversations to us. And I also want to say hello on the Periscope side. Hello to you, Foresight. And before we get into our conversation, I'd like to say, Alexander, thank you for taking the time. And could you just share a little about yourself to the Dr. Vibe Show community?
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me on. It's always wonderful to get an appearance on here. My name is Alexander Williams. I am a graduate of the University of California, Santa Cruz. I am a writer currently living in the Bay Area, trying my best to help my local community. And I'm just aspiring to be a graduate school student, get my platform out there and my content.
Excellent. We have known each other for a while now.
I think it was like 3 years.
About 3 years. And it's always good to have you on because you bring great thought process. And when I brought this conversation piece, when you brought it to me and I shared it with a few people a little while back, we were supposed to have this conversation a while back, but things got a little bit crazy. Holidays and things like that. Hey, Dre, what is up? On the Get Vocal side, everyone's going, whoa, this is a serious conversation. We are going to be chatting about tonight, and I will let people into the room in a few moments because I see that people want to get in. This conversation topic tonight is, can rap and hip hop serve as a vehicle for positive self-actualization? That sounds like a thesis topic. Can you break it down for me, man?
Yes, very much. Probably is a thesis topic because it has a lot to do with the dissertation that I'm already working on, which showcases how rap is a vehicle for African-American cultural and social agency in the United States, particularly because the archetype of a rapper operates simultaneously as a messiah, social pariah, and superhero. And so while operating as these three, let's say, entities, in there is much room for self-reflection, growth, and determination from understanding how rap can be used as a tool like anything else.
You're a little bit younger than me, and probably some of the people in the room here. What is your fascination and or love with hip hop or rap? I guess rap and hip hop are different things. You want to talk about rap tonight, or do you want to talk rap and hip hop? Just let's.
I mean, one informs the other, right? So I think for the purpose of this exercise, we can, use the terms interchangeably. But as far as, I guess, the origin story of my love for hip hop, I mean, it just kind of probably starts as anyone else does. Being a child growing up, you are exposed to certain things of the culture from your parents. And so for me, I remember running around in a diaper listening to R&B and Eric B and Rakim and, early 90s hip hop, and just seeing that it spoke to a side of me and a part of me. And, as I kind of gained my own understanding of the world growing up, I chose specifically to try to recapture those types of, feelings and sentiments. And as I grew up, not only just in my life, but also as an academic, I started to understand the subtle nuances of rap and hip hop, and especially, its place as not only poetry, but its place as an art movement and as a tool for a much higher social purpose.
I feel like I'm getting in a lecture class in a good way. It's all good. Again, good to hear, So Steph, that you and your son are doing good. Dre, thank you. You're saying great topic. And Durham, actually, you Foresight on Periscope is saying hip hop is the pop version of rap. Do you agree with that?
Hip hop is the pop version of rap?
Yeah. What do you think of that?
I I don't agree with that. I think if anything, hip hop is the pure version of rap, if anything, because I feel like rap might contain certain elements that it gets protruded from, different like cultural or historical events. I feel like with hip hop, there's more of that sense of it's you and your boys just trying to rap along to a beat, and I feel like that's the kind of sense that I get more with hip hop. I think rap is maybe actually okay. I'm not actually going to change my answer. I think rap is what you do with your boys when you just freestyle, you kind of play off one another. And then I think hip hop might be the larger cultural effect of rap. So I think that's probably how, I think for the purpose of this exercise, we might need to look at this.
Well, I'm going to be opening up the room soon because, like you say, as I told Alexander before, I'm going to be looking down at my tablet and the comments are flying on the tablet. Comments are flying on Get Vocal. So Durham Skywriter saying, I'm a DJ and you'd be surprised to know how many people from around the world are using rap exactly the way it was designed to deal with community issues. We North Americans have gotten away from that. So Steph is saying hip hop is the culture, rap is what you do. Dre is saying hip hop is the culture, rap is a means of how we spread out message in hip hop as well as graffiti. Folks, I'm going to open up the room in just a moment because the comments are flying here. Why did you want to talk or have a conversation about this?
Well, because it's important, I mean, I think maybe I don't want to speak for her, but I think part of what Patricia may be getting at in terms of, North Americans getting away from that use of rap as a tool is maybe just because of, public perception of it and how it's being marketed, as a product more so than an art form, and I think that's really that informs a lot of bad public opinions about rap and what, really takes away from its social, cultural, and community importance. I mean, when I think of rap, I think of power. I think of something that is pure and something that is inherently black. I don't know there could have been, ancient Mesopotamians rapping while they were farming. I don't know. We don't have any historical evidence of that. As far as I know, New York gave birth to rap, and they also gave birth to the best rapper, but we can always debate that later.
Yeah, that's for you and LaRon. And see, now you let it slip because Dre wants to know who. So you put yourself out there now.
It's Biggie Smalls. Like let's stop. Like he has the best flow. It's just like it's ridiculous. Like
Dre's on your side. All right. Oh boy, Dre. I know Dre wants to get in here, so we'll get you, Dre. Hold tight.
No, but I think that's really important to really note when we talk about rap is, how Black men and Black women use it to not only empower themselves, but empower the people around them and, inspire this air of confidence to just be who they are and try to achieve the things that they set out to do.
So rap music in its incarnation, I hope I got that word right. Is it still as much a vehicle for positive self-actualization now as you feel back when it started in its infancy?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's just like anything, right? I mean, because if you like movies, for instance, and you only pay attention to the movies that, come out in 2018, you might have a different opinion of like, oh, well, the movies all suck nowadays. It's like, okay, well, that's just kind of what you've been exposed to, or that's what you're settling and seeking out. With the way that the internet works and all these different platforms like SoundCloud and Spotify and, WordPress and all these websites that give you power to, put on content. If you want a certain level of quality of content, then it might be harder for you to seek it out, but it's there. And that's kind of like where the responsibility as a consumer, as a listener falls onto you, is that sometimes for the really good stuff that you either need to hear or want to connect to, you might have to do the job of seeking that out for yourself.
Okay. Before we go any further, oh my goodness, someone who I have not spoken with for a long time I believe this is Nicole Van Cleve. who is a great warrior for social justice. If that is you, Nicole, please. And it's ironic. I was actually looking at our conversation yesterday that we had from a few years ago. So she jumped in and jumped out, but I'm going to give her a shout out anyways. I think that I'm going to open up the room now because I have a feeling if I wait any longer, Dre's going to leave us. If you want to come on in, no problem. Let's continue the conversation. So you feel that rap music has as much strong presence in positive self-actualization today compared to its starting time days?
Yeah, I mean, especially because people have kind of seen the formula about it. So, in its beginning, you kind of had to be a trailblazer because no one was there before to kind of set a path for you to follow. So because now we have, the rap renaissance that we had in the 90s, we have artists like Childish Gambino and Drake and Kendrick Lamar. They're able to, kind of, make their own paths because of ones that have already been put in there beforehand. Like there have already been ceilings that were broken into so that way they can rise above them and break, the higher ones. So the way that I see it is, rap is a really useful tool for positive self-actualization. In any kind of way that you can sense it. For instance, Childish Gambino has a song literally called Hero. And in it, he just describes the archetype of how rap can be used as a tool to create a superhero type persona that instead of going out there and fighting crime, that battleground is the rap world. And so because of that, he's able to achieve things in terms of people trying to get him down, or racism and all of these other things that, society creates as constructs. He's able to rise above them using rap. So it's as much a tool as anything else. And I think that's what people don't understand about it, is that not only is it music, not only is it literature, but it's also like a vehicle for, personal desire and intentions.
Okay. Like to welcome Joseph onto the Get Vocal platform. Welcome, Joseph, for stopping by. I hear from a lot of people of my demographic, I'll use the word kindly. We always hear the comments that rap music is not as positive as it was when it started. And you're saying you feel it's as positive now. What do you say to those people who feel that rap music has become commercialized? It's not the rawness. It's showing a not the real sense of the Black journey.
Well, and that's the unfortunate part about it, is that I would tell those people, similar to what I said previously, that, because of how much saturation of the product that rap is, because it's I think by and far probably the most popular form of music out today. I don't know if I have any empirical data to back that up, but I think when you drive in a car, when you go to the gym, like the genre of music that I hear the most being played is rap or hip hop. And I think because of that, record companies and radio stations try to, get these certain artists out there and flood the market with, this type of sound, because they know that it will do well, or that it'll sell records, or that, people will sing along to it and, kind of feed the machine. But I think the biggest thing about that is that while rap is being commercialized and I think misconstrued and hijacked through different various forms and platforms, I think us as Black people, I don't think we're privy to the pitfalls of that, because this is something that's inherently ours. It's something that people are trying to shape and use and kind of make it their own, or profit off of it, or whatever, means they try to use that tool as. But it started with us. And I think because it's an inherently Black thing, I think that's kind of how we're able to access it in a different way than other people are able to.
We're going to continue down that road. I just want to catch up on some comments here. You Foresight on Periscope saying it is sad today's rap. It's sad of today's rap that you have to be drunk to hear it and yet high to understand it. And Durham Skyrider is saying there is such a huge difference between the rap that's played on the radio and the local artists who seem to have more to say of substance. We're going to go down this road even more because I think that maybe some of the worst things that's happened to rap music is the record company's involvement and the imagery that is portrayed around rap music. And I don't know, many people will tell me that the imagery around rap music today is not of positivity.
Well, I mean, I would say that it's like, well, what are you watching? You know, like, is it things that you're seeing on TV? I mean, because if it's things that you're consuming off of television or radio, like these are products that are being pushed to you from an agenda. Like there's executives making decisions where like, okay, we're going to release this content or we're going to have this type of programming schedule and sell this because we want to hit this type of mark in terms of listeners or viewers or anything. So, I mean, at that point, like you're participating more so in the commercialism of it than I think the actual musical enjoyment factor for it. And so, like, for instance, someone like me, if I like, what I'm hearing in terms of a rap verse or, an artist, I go on there and I try to discover who that person is, so that way I can kind of get a feeling of their intentions. I try to watch interviews so I can understand the type of person that they are, what their ambitions are, like where they grew up. And that way
Okay, Sandra, let me interrupt for a second. But wouldn't you consider yourself the minority? You actually dig deeper.
Yeah.
And the entertainment industry is looking for the quick and easy. They're not looking for that dig. As Patricia said, and I'm just putting out there, people will say the entertainment industry is not looking for substance. They don't want you to look for substance.
And that's what I'm saying is that sometimes it falls on the responsibility of the listener to do a little bit more work to get to the type of, concept that they want. There's I don't know who's credited with having it, but there is a very common triangle of triangular structure of rhetoric that's always taught in like speech classes or communication classes. And it's a triangle of the message, the receiver, and the sender. And if you have one part of that triangle that doesn't function well, then the message won't get to the sender as it's supposed to be intended. And I think it's just that type of dynamic can be seen here, where in order to kind of get the rap that you need, sometimes that the most public message or the most easily accessible message that's out there, if that's not for you, then you as a receiver needs to kind of pick up that slack. And so I think the way that the internet and other platforms are so readily available to us, while we can't just pop on the radio and hear the type of empowering songs that we would like to, maybe you need to do a little bit more work, and try to find out, all right, well, my favorite artist is influenced by this artist, so why don't I see other artists that person influenced? I might like that type of music. And so you might have to go through that because of all these other constructs that are around it. But I mean, that's anything. Like anything worth having isn't going to come easy. So if you want good content, and also I think it's a cool thing because for me, like if there's not something out there that you want to listen to, why don't you make it? Like that's the beautiful thing about rap. I think that can be so empowering is it's like, if you feel like there's a hole missing in, the lexicon of rap, then why don't you become that?
Okay. Some comments here on the live audio stream via Mixler. Melvin Lars. Welcome, Melvin, as always. He says, I too enjoy poetic verse. However, we cannot talk around the negative verses and the vitriol spewed towards Black women. Then Durham Skywriter is saying rap isn't really ours if we don't own it, which is why we're stuck in the mostly junk that's on the radio.
I mean, I think that placates to certain answers though about like ownership, like who actually owns a song. Is it the record company that has the license to play it? Is it the artist themselves? I mean, I think that's more of a semantic question than anything. I mean, I'm of the belief that if you create something, like no matter if you sell it, so that other people can reproduce it, or, you kind of give away, or, if you disown it at its conception, you are the creator of it. and that thing wouldn't have been there without you. And so that's why I think that no matter it's unfortunate, that a lot of white record executives are able to profit off of rap, but I don't think that they own rap. I would never think that rap is owned by white supremacy or white culture. I always think that it's a black thing. And that's what makes it so beautiful, is that I don't think it can be invaded the same way that other things can. Like people can always imitate your style of dress or the way you talk, or anything that they think is cool that they then want to make it their own. But I think rap as a construct, as an art form, and as a tool is inherently black. That's not to say that other cultures can't use it, because hip hop is, I think, the most emulated form of music in the world. There's rappers in London, there's rappers in South Korea, there's rappers in Lebanon. And that's also what makes it so beautiful, is that it has that inherent community aspect to it, and that sense of empowerment that comes with being a rapper. I don't think you can be a rapper and not have self-confidence. I don't think you can be a rapper and not have ambition. Forming that archetype, instills certain qualities in you that then informs the music. So it's a whole cohesion type of vehicle thing that I think people just aren't recognizing nowadays.
Okay. I'm patiently waiting, because I have a feeling that either Durham or Dre are going to come into this room, but I'll keep the conversation going here. This goes back to, and I used to work in the entertainment industry when I had hair, and I always thought that the question always comes up: is it the audience that's driving the output, or is it the entertainment company driving the output? And in the world of multimedia, digital media that we live in, I just think that the control of these companies is so great that they have the control. I understand what you're saying, of that, whoever produces it owns it, but they own it. But then right now, companies will say, it has to be a certain style. This, I don't know how much ownership outside than creating it, the content you have, because you need that partner to get it to a wider base. Not as much now as before, because you have the digital streaming, you have the YouTube. God, I remember when Napster. You may not even know about. Remember? I don't know if you remember. So all those days. It's just it's and again, there's the ongoing debate, and I'm glad we're chatting about it tonight. That ongoing debate of what does the portrayal make out of people, and can they just take it for music? Can they use the actualization? Like before we came on, we talked about the song 911 is a Joke by Public Enemy. Do blacks have a group like a Public Enemy right now?
And I think they do. And I think one of the driving forces in rap that can, demonstrate that type of dynamic is Childish Gambino. I don't, at the risk of sounding fanboyish, I really just don't know if people think or recognize how smart he is. Everything that he's doing now in terms of, integrating himself in the public social consciousness of America, he's been rapping about for years. Very early on, he was, describing himself as Spider-Man, saying that he was a young king, saying that, he was these types of things or positions that hold so much power in the American canon. And then what did he do? One of the current iterations of Spider-Man, his name is Miles Morales. They just had a movie about him that released in theaters not too long ago. Good plug. The writers and artists that drew up that character specifically said that Donald Glover was the inspiration behind him. They made Spider-Man black and Latino because of Childish Gambino's ambition to embody that character. If that's not positive self-empowerment or actualization, then I don't know what is. He said he wanted to be a king, that, him and his group, or their royalty, they come from this lineage of, royal blood. What did he go do? He's Simba now. Can you imagine a more famous king than Simba? I mean, he's one of the most popular ones we know. And
Right.
that's what I'm saying people don't recognize is that there's as much intelligence and I think literary theory uh, and ambition that goes into rap as much as it is as a music form. I mean, you work hard, on the 808s and the snare and the bass just as much as you do on the actual, intention behind it.
Okay. Bobby is saying, and I hope I can understand, that Spider-Man move is so moving. Great move. I don't understand completely, but maybe you do,
Thank you, man,
Alex.
movie. Thank you, man,
Maybe.
movie. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
so are you also saying that the industry spends as much time highlighting the positive aspects as the not so positive aspects? Because I see a lot of times, and I'm sorry I'm going around this again. I just think that, I don't know if they spend as much time highlighting the Gambinos as compared to other groups. Like if we turned on a BT, which I don't watch, right? That much. In fact, I don't watch
that
it.
much.
No. In fact, I don't watch it. To be honest, I don't watch it because I told you before, I want to create my own. I create my own content. But if we watch one of those video channels or one of those video shows for an hour, what percentage of positive actualization content would I see, in your opinion?
I mean, if we want to go percentage based upon if we have an hour program, what percentage of that hour program is positive self actualization? I mean, I'm guessing the ballpark would be somewhere between 15 to 35%. But I think that number has to deal with a lot of different factors that are influencing its creation. I mean, so if we think about it, it's like, what do we hear a lot about the news? If there's a famous saying that if it bleeds, it leads. People want to see shocking things or hear controversy because it gets other people talking about it and it serves up this, public hive mind. And I think a similar dynamic exists with television. I mean, that's why we see this really big influx of reality shows is because, now they've become so popular. People are just trying to use that method as much as they can to capitalize on that market. And I think that's where we tie into the commercialization part of it. And I think once you commercialize something and you revolve the whole message, or I guess revolve your whole ambition around that commercialization, that's when you lose what it actually is. I mean, I think that's what's wrong with something like Valentine's Day. I mean, Valentine's Day, people say, oh, you get the ring for your lover and the flowers and the chocolates. But the fact is that I don't need a day where you tell me to go do that. That cheapens the fact that I want to do that for the act of doing it in and of itself. And I think that's what people just don't understand, or maybe they do understand it and they refuse it. I mean, but I can't. There's so many different factors that go into it. It's kind of just like, how do you see it, and how are you going to interact with it?
Okay. Durham Skywriter says distribution is key. I remember when gangster rap started edging out the OG stuff, and it was obvious that the owners of the airwaves, it ain't us, were making decisions as to what our kids were listening to. Also, Bobby says it's funny how the educated culture is so different than the street culture. U4 site is saying, who owned the tracks on some music? Oh, hold on. Do you also have to talk? You also have to talk about the Latin and Afro-Cuban aspects of I don't know what that means. Who own the tracks on some music? However, the spirit of the music is made always lies within the artist. And also want to say a shout out to Melvin Lars, who has gone off the Mixler platform audio streaming wise and now is in the Get Vocal platform watching video wise. And it's interesting that the people who are watching this live are a little bit older than you. So it's just really interesting. And I'm waiting to, as I said, I'm waiting for Okay, Melvin is saying when we refuse to accept our own voices, it brings out mega problems. The artists are the ones that write the music.
Well, I think I want to say something based upon that comment where he says it's funny how the educated culture is so different than the street culture. I think one of the things that factors into that is how educated culture accepts street culture. So I I came to UC Santa Cruz majoring in literature, and I set out to do one thing. I wanted to prove that rap, hip hop, and that type of culture has a place in academia just as much as, you know, Aristotle and Socrates and all these other, you know, classic Western writers. I wanted to prove that they were on the same intellectual level. Now, I've considered myself a pretty decent writer. I graduated almost with honors. I had a 3.6 GPA. I mean, I got A's my entire senior year. I mean, I contributed to the Huffington Post. I feel like I'm pretty competent. There is a giant disconnect that exists between academia and the streets. It's almost as if they don't want someone from the streets trying to prove that they're as academic as the academics are. There's a really big disconnect. And I felt that trying my best to, you know, instill positive rap in every community, in every literary community that I could when I was at UCSC. Every chance that I got to do open mics or, you know, or perform for, you know, our school's poetry readings, I got a lot of flack for using rap as a medium to do that. When I don't understand, because like, what makes it different?
Okay, looking at the comments on the side, Bobby is a big fan of yours, by the way, apparently. And also, Melvin is saying rap is nothing more than poorly written poetry for the most part. Oh,
That's just that.
I know you're gonna have a response to that, Alexander.
Well, some of our best writers are rappers. Like, I mean, it's just a form of like sonic delivery. That's it. I mean, because rap is an acronym. It stands for rhythm and poetry. So, I mean, it's just the way that you deliver the poetry. I don't think that has anything to do with the written form of it. I mean, you can have the best writing if you don't deliver it in, you know, a concise or effective way. Then, like, that's the delivery part, not the written word. Like,
Okay, I'm glad you responded. I had a feeling you'd have a response. I know because you're a big that's what I just said. Negativity is negativity. Okay.
No, but I mean, and that's what I'm saying is that I just don't understand this really like large narrative that gets populated about how like rap isn't intellectual or it's not self-reflective. I mean, like rap is as much as a thing as you put into it. I mean, would you say that like, I don't know, football is not intellectual? Like there are people that get paid very decent money to analyze it as their jobs because there exists this, you know, component of it that can be analyzed. And because rap is entrenched in literature, which I think is one of our most enriching and intellectual exercises as humans, I don't understand why it's being like discounted as below anything else. I mean, I think rap is just as important to the literary world as, I mean, as any other method of song. Why is a rapper like Biggie Smalls like not given the same artistic credit that someone as Bob Dylan is? Like, I don't get it.
Okay, it's interesting you're saying that because it was leading to a conversation piece. I think what maybe the concern of some of the people in this room is that, and I think I'll get back to it again, there is intelligent rap out there, but we hardly get it. Many people hardly get exposed to it. Melvin is saying demeaning women and talking about murdering people intellectual. So maybe what he's, and I think what people say on in regards to a comment or question like that is what we are seeing, what's being allowed to be seen by the companies that control the distribution is that kind of messaging, which doesn't lead in a lot of cases to positive self-actualization. That's what I'm gathering.
And no, and look, I can understand that because I mean, if you turn on the TV or if all you're exposed to of a certain thing is the negative components of that thing, it's going to probably be pretty hard for you to discern the negative components from actually being a part of the essence of that thing. Like, I understand it, but the problem is that because of the tools that are so readily available to us, it's our job. If you want higher quality content, go find it. Like, I'm sorry that has to be that way. I wish it wasn't. I wish that it was more readily accessible. Rappers that actually try to write about things that are empowering other people. I wish it wasn't that way, but it is what it is. So you're going to have to do a better job yourself of searching for it. Now, because of the power of the internet, that's going to be a little easier for you, but you still have to take that first step. And that's what I did. When I first set out to really understand rap and what it was, I had to do so much research of actually, seeing how people write, seeing the meter of their rhymes and seeing if they stress certain syllables and seeing what the message was behind the songs and if there was subtext and all these different things. And I didn't just do that because, I was inclined to literature, but I did that to understand what it was. Because if you don't understand something for what it is, you can't possibly judge it because you're not actually having an understanding of it.
Okay. Gonna get to some more comments in just a moment. Just want to thank some people here. Don Ellen Morris has retweeted the Periscope link. Thank you very much, Don, from Chicago. Next up, commentary-wise, you first cited jumping back between YouTube and Periscope, but he's saying here there was a class to making rap music in a style that just isn't there in today's music. Today's music is simply about putting out two words together that sound the same. Rap is the ghetto version of music, and wherever rap goes, it's what most people think, and that is somehow not mainstream, not the case anymore.
I don't understand that. I think I need some elaboration to.
Okay, I want to welcome Cliff to the Get Vocal platform. Well, Melvin, I am a city boy. I wonder with gang members as part of my profession. I understand what people say are the culture, discuss the negative aspects of words and how it affects disenfranchised communities. I don't understand completely. So Melvin, either type it out again or come into the room and give some more explanation. Yes, Cliff, good evening. It seems that I guess a number of people who are on the conversation live tonight do not feel that rap and hip hop are doing the best in regards to serving or giving a positive self-actualization.
And that's the thing is that, I think, and I would be
right now, so I can let you two have a little conversation. If Melvin can make it on here he comes.
Hi, here Melvin. I am, Doc. How you doing, Dr. Vibe? How you doing, Alexander?
How you doing, sir?
Listen. I'm great. Listen, brother, let me be clear about my explanations. I was typing so quickly until it wasn't clear what I was saying. And to hear, man, that people do not understand that they need to study more. I work with gang members. Jim Brown and his American program, my own program. We work with gang members. We work with city kids. I'm a city kid myself. And when we try to glamorize all the negativity, then maybe, and this is just a suggestion, maybe we need to make clear as to, are we talking specifically about lyrics? Are we talking specifically about the spoken word itself? Are we talking about the negative culture that's out there that's associated with rap, with calling women bitches and hoes and talking about murdering people and talking about doing drugs and drinking and all of that kind of thing? So for me, being a guy that worked with these young men that's struggling to try to get out of, quote, the life, and to hear people try to glamorize rap is not a knock on rap. It's not something you can paint with a broad brush. There's so much that go into the negative aspects of this negativity. So as a linguist myself, as a poet myself, as a writer myself, when I hear the rap, this so-called rap, and I hear people just saying the same thing over and over and over, rhymes that are very elementary, and they're making millions of dollars, and we have young kids that are following this craziness. That's the point that I'm making. So maybe I'm on the wrong show.
I think And that's what I'm saying is I think at its core, I understand the sentiment because, for I forget who said it, but there's this famous quote where it's like, for every one Morgan Freeman, you have 10 Flavor Flavs. Like, you're not going to get every single person to be as eloquent or community empowering as you want them to be. And I realize that, for every, Childish Gambino, there's a bunch of little Uzi Verts or, Post Malones and all these other type of people that kids are listening to nowadays. But the problem is that doesn't have to necessarily be the case. So the type of music that you want your kids to listen to, you can allow them to listen to it because you have that media platform in order to do that. And like I said before, I mean, the great thing about rap is that I think as it goes on over time, we are getting we are getting introspective about it. We're having artists like Frank Ocean and, these other artists that are, come from LGBTQ communities and other marginalized communities that, rap used to and, sometimes still does marginalized. We're starting to understand that, it's becoming more inclusive. And I think that's the thing that's getting lost nowadays is how rap is as self-reflective as it ever was.
Melvin, I have you on mute, so if you want to respond to that, take yourself off mute. All right. Well, while he's finding the way to take himself off mute. All right. So the people that you travel with, the people that you hang with, do they find rap music positive?
But no, like that's the thing. I don't find a lot of people that understand the intellectual component of rap like I do. And now I understand that I am in a minority, there aren't a lot of people trying to see what type of artistic lineages rappers come from, who they were influenced by, what type of, social policies played a role in them becoming rappers. Like, I understand that that's not everyone. What I have a problem with is that, us as a community, in the United States, painting this broad stroke that rap is this when it's so much more than that. I mean, if you can think about it, I almost see it as a living organism. We're feeding it certain things and we're calling it for what it is, but who are we to actually be doing that in the first place? I mean, I think, like, for me growing up, I wanted to listen to rappers who talked about, coming out of poverty and making their own way in the world. Now, however they did that, I got to choose later. But by going on that train early on, I got to understand and follow other artists that got me to the place that I needed to be. So, for instance, I use Childish Gambino as a means of like, okay, here's this rapper who's talking about a lot of the things that I've gone through in terms of being displaced in the Black community, Black people calling you white, calling you faggot, calling you an Oreo, all these other things. How can I use that sentiment, that type of inspiration or that type of emotion that I get from listening to that? How can I channel that into, driving my own ambition and becoming a better artist or writer myself? And I think that's where it kind of leads us as, consumers or as listeners of rap, is that there's some responsibility for us to demand higher quality. Like, if you want that quality, sometimes you have to go create it. And that's why I became an artist, is because I saw that there was a hole of rap where I'm like, okay, I can tell my story and maybe then influence other kids who don't think that they can tell their stories and give them confidence to be who they are. And I think that's what really is the most pure aspect of rap, is that it's empowering.
Okay. Lokesh, thank you so much for jumping in on the Get Vocal platform. Now he came back out. Joseph is back. And also big shout out to Kinte, man who does outstanding conversations on many platforms. He's also from the left coast. He may jump in also. Alexander, how much do you feel on this question is a generational thing? Do you feel that comes into play a bit? Because during this conversation, the people who are questioning some of your comments are about older generation. Do you feel that the generational has any influence on people saying no, rap, hip hop, it's not positive?
I mean, it may, because the older generations maybe don't have the same relationship with technology as the younger generations do, for instance. So I remember growing up, using Microsoft Word for the first time and, using that in middle school and high school. And so I became really proficient in it. And when I would try to get, my grandma to use it, she was like, I don't like, what is this? Like, she acted like it was something she's never seen before. So, I mean, I think maybe it might have to do with something of like an access of technology and kind of then how to use technology to get these types of content or, products that you want. But I think it's also just what avenues of content are available to you. Older generations, maybe y'all only had access to the radio. So you're only able to judge certain musical genres based upon what you were able to listen to at that time, using that one avenue that was available to you. I think now, because we have so many different platforms in which you can consume content, I think that type of relationship to it has to change. I think that if people are able to experience that for themselves, then they'll understand what's in front of them. And I think that's what is the biggest, I guess, part of that listener responsibility, is understanding that it's going to take work to get like quality content. And the negative perceptions that we have of rap, I mean, I would also have to say, doesn't a lot of that come from like, I don't want to say right-wing people, but doesn't that come from people that want to pit Black people against other Black people? Like, how many times are we going to see like the thug stereotype be perpetuated in certain communities just because like they want to other a certain set of people from other ones? I mean, I think that there's just a lot of different and complex factors that go into that people just don't take into account.
You Foresight on Periscope says you have to be conscious what's in rap because you might not be the one that's affected by the young. They said the young are affected by it, and sometimes the older generation are reluctant to give up that response. That is where the people step in. If we ask collective people to decide that rap should be more, he's typing away, more positive, it will be because we don't. I'm just gonna let him type through. He's like, right? There's like things going on and on. So I'm gonna wait till he's done so I can read it all in one shot. Melvin goes, that does not change the verses. These young people that I work with are the ones that are constantly complaining about the negativism that they are always bombarded with. So Melvin's basically saying, and he works with young people, saying that a lot of people feel that rap music is not a vehicle for positive self-actualization.
I mean, and that's what I'm saying, is that like I don't think that anything backs that up, because rap in of itself, I mean, we take away the commercialization of it, we take away, the celebrity status that we give to rappers, we take all of that away and just give it its most raw, purest form. It's just a method of delivery for poetry. That's it. So however you use that, whatever your intent is, that's going to show up through you utilizing that tool. It's like a knife. A knife, if I set it on the table, it's just going to stay there. But if I use that knife to stab somebody, then it becomes something that's not because of how I used it. And that's what I think people aren't understanding, is that when you use a tool, it's not just, you don't like, the tool is as much of you as it is itself. I mean, it's an extension of you. So with that comes a certain level of responsibility in terms of how you use that tool and the people that accept you using that tool.
Okay. This is really good. This has been a deep side of Alexander I haven't seen and heard for in a while. So this is really good. He's defending his stance. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. Says that's what they say to me. He's one person. We work with a litany of young men and women. The negativity is there. He cannot explain it that way.
And that's what I'm saying. Look, and that's what I'm saying is that like the negative components of hip hop culture are there. Like the rampant homophobia, misogyny, transphobia. like, I'm not going to explain it away because I can't. It's present. It's there. I recognize it and I understand it. I wish it wasn't, but it is. It's an unfortunate part about it. But I think that the hip hop culture that has those things becoming a part of it is much different than the method of delivery of rap and how people choose to use that and how it got to become that.
Okay. And Melvin now says, thank you, sir. So I think you're on the same page now. Finally, you finally got on the same page. So in what ways do you feel today that hip hop, rap and hip hop is a vehicle for positive self-actualization?
Well, I mean, the way that I'm using it, like, I mean, I myself am an artist. I make my own beats. I write my own lyrics. I deliver them myself. I try to be as self-contained as possible. And the reason why I started doing it is because I saw that there was a niche, or I saw that there was a purpose for me to do that, because there was a story being told that needed to be told, and it wasn't. And I felt that if I were able to tell the story and get it out there, it would inspire other people to tell theirs and become self-empowered with what they wanted to do. So with that, there comes a lot of self-reflection that I have to do. I listen to the music. I'm like, okay, well, that sucks. I see words that I'm writing. I'm like, that's not as strong as it could be. And as I'm doing this, I'm not only, trying to get better at my craft, but I'm looking at the content of what it is. Like if I write a line, and yeah, it might like sound good in terms of the delivery, but if I have to ask the question of myself, like, what am I really saying? Is this doing something? Is this going to change someone's mind on something? Is this going to speak to a deeper level of who we are as people, or what we go through as a community? If it's not, placating to that type of existence, then I don't try to use it because it's not fulfilling a purpose. And I think that's what people don't understand, is that rappers, men, women, and anyone that subscribes to any other gender, non-binary status, they use rap as an extension of something that they can't get out any other way. And I think for me, like, the reason why I use rap is because I'm not able to express these words in any other way. So I have to don that persona. I have to become that type of, literary character in order to get that message across.
Okay. Message here. Actually, Bobby, I'm just giving Alex's Twitter handle to you right now. So it's there. You can follow him. Durham Skywriter says, as a DJ, I'm always on the lookout for positive music, and most of the rap I end up playing is from other countries and the old school stuff. I'm sorry, but much of what we put out in the United States is low quality, both lyrically and musically, especially when compared to what other folks are doing with it. Interesting. All right.
Well, I mean, I would like to know who that person listens to. Like, and that's what I'm saying.
Say, Durham, if you can come on for a few moments, I think that's an invite to because she has a global perspective of music, and if she could, I've either type in, or if you can come on for a few minutes, at least start maybe winding down the conversation. That'd be a good thing, because Alexander's asking, hey, maybe there's artists that he does not know about that he needs to know about.
I mean, that's the thing too, is that there's an education aspect to it. Well, I mean, for me, if if you don't have good artists, go ask your friends, go ask people, and try to find a community so that way you can become a part of it. So that way that the daily routine of your life isn't confined to things that you don't enjoy or find negative things in. Just try to surround yourself with the good things. And that's what I try to do. I try to surround myself with music, with people, with activities that give me pleasure or challenge me intellectually or try to make me a better person, because that's the only way that I know how to live. I mean, I'm not going to surround myself with terrible things, because what's the purpose of my life with that?
Right. Got it. In making, okay, so going back to you, Foresight, you too, saying, okay, he's okay, some catch up on comments here. He's making them, pardon me, on YouTube now, because I can't understand them on Periscope. He's saying, Exactly. It is hard to go from hip hop to rap to gangster rap, then mumble rap. The content and the purpose of rap has changed over time. It is the case though rap is totally negative today and sexual and a speech for black people more than now than ever. Also, you have to take a look at its effect on the next generation of black people. That is another problem I have. There are a lot of bad habits that are being put into rap. Cut the black that cut the black community needs to separate itself from such as the gay and lesbian community is having an effect. I don't understand that part. But basically what you foresight for you two is saying is that he just feels that most of rap today is totally negative.
And I mean, look, man, I can't, and that's the thing. I can't control what these people are exposed to. All I'm saying is that there is higher quality rap out there. Whether or not you have access to it, whether or not you know that it's there, I can't take responsibility for it. You as a listener have to.
Okay, Dre is finally on after a marathon
telephone call. How's it going? Well, so I was reading through the comments trying to catch up a little bit. First off, I do want to say I agree, Biggie.
Yes,
the best ever. And check this out. I'm going to tell you what did it for me. Like, you know, I'm a Christian and everything, but before I became one, like Biggie was my guy. He had this song, and if you judge just on his lyrical genius, right? The 10 Crack Commandments was like one of those things. When I heard it, I was like, how does he put all that together lyrically? And like I was like his just it was just amazing. But all right, that's neither here nor there. About the topic at hand. You're absolutely right. There's a lot of positive rap out there, good rap, like really good rap, and it's not easy to find. And one of the things that makes it so difficult is how the industry is set up. They make music accessible to everybody. That is pretty much poison. And the thing is that that's what sells. That's what sells. Positivity, unfortunately, is not one of those things that sells. So these big record companies aren't going to put the money out to promote positive rap music, positive hip hop. It just isn't going to happen. Kids today want a particular lifestyle. So what these record companies are going to do is they're going to promote these rappers out there that show an extravagant lifestyle through selling drugs and sexualizing women and all that stuff. And that's what sells. So that's why it's so hard for people to have access to quality hip hop today. Mumble rap sells, period. I think it's trash, but it sells. So because it sells, that's what they're going to push. All right. Mm-hmm. And social media, YouTube, things like that, is a blessing and a curse in this. And it's a curse in that that's how mumble rap became so popular. Right. And what started to happen was everybody started to think, well, I can do that too and make money. So now people like Lil Yachty mumble raps and now he's making money. So I don't really have to have any skills to make money in hip hop. I'm going to do it too. Now, all this stuff starts to sell because everybody believes that they can do it too. So it's difficult for people like, Alexander, you rap. I'm assuming like you rap. People like yourself who have skills, who is a scholar, who's an academic and a rapper to come out there. But in the flip side to that, social media is also a way to get people like yourself out there for people who don't have access to have access. Today is like we're in a time in history of music where you don't have to sign with any major labels to be successful in music. You just got to put the work in it, or surround yourself around a community of people that would get behind you, and that you would get behind a good network of people that can help promote your stuff. So we're in a good place to promote positive music, but we just need the resources and we have the resources, just the manpower to do it.
Yeah, we have and the commitment too.
And the commitment, yeah. So it's not important.
Easy. Patricia Durham saying, working on my community paper right now. I don't mind putting in the work to discover the good stuff, but my concern is for the kids listening to the local stations like K97.5, which pumps out junk pretty much all day and all night.
Look, there's something called an aux cable. You have no reason to listen to music anymore. You don't. If you got a smartphone, you got 4 gigabytes, use the aux cable, play the stuff that you want to play, that you want to listen to. There's no, like, I don't understand people that, like, how do you listen to radio? Like, how do you just, like, let somebody else choose some stuff and then put in ads and all these other things that are going to distract you from listening to like, I don't know how you put up with that. I can't. Like, I straight up, like, don't play with that. So I reach for that handy aux cable and I play what I want to listen to.
And I'm gonna say it again, Alexander. I think you're the minority.
Yeah.
And the entertainment industry, they're not looking at you. They don't want you.
Well, Dr. Valle, may I interject?
I'll keep on going.
Well, people like you who have disconnected from radio is the reason why mumble rap and all this trash stuff is on the radio. See, so now like they move toward who's listening to what. So now the reason why that music is now on the radio with people who don't have skill, like when I first heard that, you know, people like I mean, I'm not even sure how you feel about Migos. I'm not a fan of Migos. I think they're trash too.
I've never listened to a song, so
I think they're trash too. But they're all over the radio, and that's because through social media, people are listening to them, and now because they're producing the numbers of listeners, all right, they play their music. So today, that's why I was saying about social media. The industry sort of flipped where radio controlled music and what was being put out. Now it's people's followers who are controlling what's being put on the radio, you know? So, and that's why I guess if you have a good network, you know, and you start developing numbers, because everything today is about a numbers game. It doesn't matter how skilled you are. It's a matter how many people are listening to your music and how many followers you have. That's what's going to get you on the radio. So people like yourself who care about the craft, they're not going to listen to the radio because of how radio choose the music that they play on their platforms. So I feel you, Alexander. Like I feel you.
And I think the industry has always been like that, but it's even more than ever now because they're more looking at numbers with the whole platform of social media. It's even more the numbers. Quality is even more out the window now. It's who's got the numbers.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I mean, that's the thing. I'm sorry.
You know, that's always been the case, but it's even to a higher level now. So before you continue, I'm just going to see Melvin saying modern slavery. They feel that there's only one option. Give them positivity. They will embrace it. Also says, listen to what you are saying. Tell the people how to see themselves. Thugs, educated, etc. But just going on, I think really and truly, and the entertainment industry is not for people like who are on this conversation right now. They're not really wanting us. And what's happening, what's even more, look at it the way it is now too. If you want to take it to another level, look at traditional media. Look at how many people are cutting the cords from TV and they're just saying goodbye.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an ever evolving industry and climate out there. But when it comes to music, it's all numbers combined with the social media, and probably one of the first people to pop wise. And this is not a rap artist, but one of the people that really turned the industry upside down was Madonna. Because if you were around when Madonna first came out, she was not about content. She was all about the hype and how people were paying attention to her. And back in the day, there were so many people who couldn't stand her. But now today, she's considered an icon.
I mean, that's the thing too. I think, and that's why I'm saying it has to be, really highlighted when we talk about this, is the commercialization of it and the delivery and distribution of rap as a product. I think rap as a product is much different than rap as an art form, because rap as a product has so many different, I don't want to say like so many things that are toxic about it already that separate it from what it is. And I think that's the thing. Like for me, I would be surprised if I ever make money off of music. I won't. I don't make music that is marketable. I don't make music that you can play at a party or anything like that. I make music that for when you're sitting alone at 3 a.m. and you can't sleep and you're like, man, like I need to do something. I need to think about this. I need to do something like that. I make music for those moments because I make music for that challenge you to think, that challenges you to see something in a different perspective. And that might just be the way that I'm using rap as a tool. But the fact is that me using rap as a tool is still separate from rap in of itself. Like we can talk all day about this, but rap in of itself is still just a delivery of poetry. And you can't say that a delivery of poetry is inherently misogynistic. You can't say a method of poetry is inherently homophobic because that's something that a person is using that tool to use their own personal intentions for. And that's what people can't separate. They can't separate the tool from the person wielding that tool.
Mm-hmm. Good points. Good points. Good points. Yeah. We are going to start winding down the conversation. So if anyone wants to come in, please get in quick. Durham just said, I just said that my concern is for the kids who are stuck with the radio and susceptible to negative influences. I'm not about to tell the moms over in McDougall Terrace to buy their kids smartphones and aux cables.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean,
all right. I'm gonna head out so you guys can continue.
All right, great. Thank you so much for taking the time. All right, so we're gonna start winding it down. Durham says, "LOL, good stuff." Let's start winding it down and put a bow on this wonderful conversation, my man. So, positive self-actualization, rap, and hip hop. Can they still be used in the same sentence?
Yes, wholeheartedly. Yes. That's honestly why we did it, isn't it? I mean, I think it all kind of started out. Yeah, I mean, you can say whatever you want about people that, use it to be misogynistic and homophobic and, all these, marginalizing tendencies. But in of itself, like, I mean, don't you feel good when you're freestyling with your boys? Like, don't you feel a certain air of confidence? Don't you feel, just good? Don't you feel like happy in a certain moment? And I feel like you tap into that emotion is the first step to positive self-actualization.
Excellent. Well, we're going to call it a wrap. There we go. That's a good way to wrap the conversation up. What are you working on right now? What are you working on next? What are you saying yikes for, Patricia? I'm no lyrics guy. I just put that in. Come on. Pun intended. What are you working on right now? What are you working on next?
Well, right now I'm still working on my dissertation about rap. I'm hoping to, get that going. I won't be releasing that anytime soon, but I'm currently working on that. I'm still working on my first full-length novel entitled Camp that will be released December 2019. I'm hoping to have an audiobook version of that released around the same time as well. So be on the lookout for that. I will be able to, give updates about Amazon links and all these, different platforms and how to access that. And I'm still looking to contribute. I'm trying to look through, the Odyssey to see if maybe I can do some more online essays through that platform. Huffington Post still has all my content. So just, Google Huffington Post, Alexander Williams. I'm the first result and only one. And just trying to, live each day and get better at my craft.
Question, Patricia wants to know, how can we hear some of your stuff? Are you still putting stuff out on SoundCloud?
Yes, I am. So okay. I'll drop my link.
Yeah, I beat you to it because I don't think. Yeah, I think that's it. Because I just copy and pasted from your Twitter handle. No, you know what? Let me do it properly here. I don't think that first one. Don't use that link, folks. Let's see if this one is the right one. Hold on. Yeah, it is. It is because I
just put it up.
Okay. All right. There you go. So that's the link. You can listen to his stuff. His Twitter handle I put up earlier, but I will put up right now again. So you can continue the conversation. I think Melvin and Patricia, you need to continue the conversation with this young man because it was quite interesting. And we just lost him. So I don't know what happened to him, but good stuff. Thank you so much. So I put up his contact information, his SoundCloud, and his Twitter handle. And I'd like to thank everyone who was part of the conversation tonight. Kinte. We also had Bobby. We had Patricia, otherwise known as Durham Skyrider. We had, Melvin. How could I forget Melvin? We had Cliff. We had on the Periscope and the YouTube side. I'm just going to pull him up. U-Site for YouTube. And we're going to get you on one of these sooner or later. We're now following each other on Twitter, so we'll get you on the next conversation. I'd like to say thanks everybody who watched this epic conversation live. I am Dr. Vibe, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show 2018 Innovation Award winner by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. Also, certified empowerment coach, president and CEO of Express Your Vibe Coaching and Communications. If you'd like a complimentary session, please reach out to me. Twitter at drvibeshow. Email address dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com, or you can go to my website, the drvibeshow. Go to the top of the website, click on Contact the Dr. Vibe Show, and you can send me an email or an audio message right from my site. If you want to watch replays of epic conversations like this one, you can go to my YouTube page, put in the search engine, the space, dr period space, vibe space, show. If you want to listen to audio replays of my epic conversations, go to my website. You can also go to Apple Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, TuneIn Radio, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio. Selected audio replays are available on WJMS Radio out of New York City and Mile High Radio out of Denver, Colorado. I am a brand ambassador for the only online magazine dedicated to African Americans in food, wine, and travel. The name of the magazine is Cuisine Noir Magazine. Website address is cuisinenoirmag.com. If you are a business or entrepreneur and you'd like to get media promotion, I do run a service called Getting Media Coverage. And what I do with that is I help business and entrepreneurs get media promotion so they can elevate their business, product, or service. What's coming up with Dr. Vibe? Follow me on Twitter. I do audio stuff and video stuff. On Monday evening, we have a conversation about leadership. And Alexander is now back. Tuesday evening, coming up, we have a self-development, personal development stuff coming up. And just keep on following. There's at least 2 more conversations coming up next week via Get Vocal. So just either follow me on the Get Vocal platform or follow me on Twitter, and we'll keep everything up. So, and I didn't say thank you to Kinte. I hope I said thank you to Kinte. I didn't want to leave Kinte out. And just to promote it right now, Kinte Ferguson on, I believe, the 19th of January, correct me if I'm wrong, Kinte is going to be doing a 24-hour podcast-a-thon on, hopefully, Get Vocal. So we're trying to get in touch with the Get Vocal peoples because we want to host it here. He wants to host it here. He's going to have an array of different hosts. If you want, yes, January 19th and 20th. It's going to be starting at 12 a.m. in the morning, Sunday morning, going for 24 hours. So if you want to find out more information, Kinte is in the room. So please let him know. I think he's looking for hosts, and we'll make it happen. Okay, Alexander's trying to get back on. I'm going to do my signing out here. 4 things I'd like to say. First off, live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Next up, sometimes you have to get smaller to get stronger. Block assumptions. And the last thing I will say, and I also will let Alexander say good night after I say this, aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Alexander, how can people get in touch with you if they need to?
People can follow me on Twitter at Dan the Malformed. People can also follow me on SoundCloud. I dropped the link in there. It's also Pirate Dan the Malformed on Twitter. There's always a story behind it. People are always really, really interested in why I chose the name that I did. But like me, there's a story behind everything. Keep the lookout for, my content coming in, whether that's through Odyssey or self-published works. And I'm sure I'll be back soon.
You will be. And I hope that Melvin and Patricia get a chance to listen to what you're putting out content-wise.
Yes. I hope so.
All right. Everyone, God bless, peace be well, and keep the faith. Thank you very much, and walk good. Good night.